Filmed in front of a live studio audience at the Woody Guthrie Center, it's time for the newest episode of Tulsa Little Jam! What's happening, everybody? Hey, how you doing? I feel weird because you guys are so far back. Welcome, everybody, to a new edition of Tulsa Little Jam. I love the hat very much. It makes me very happy.
No, you look happy.
I am very happy. I was born this way. So thanks for joining us for another episode of Tulsa Little Jam, everybody. And we're very excited because I got a request from this young lady. She was curious about appearing on the show. So I checked out a music video, and it was one of the quirkiest, funniest little things I'd ever seen, and I really dug the sound. And I honestly didn't know how to classify it. So you would call it what again?
Indie folk vaudeville.
Indie folk vaudeville, which, I mean, how can you not have that on Tulsa Little Jam? So with that, everybody, welcome Rachel Bachman and the Better News Bears.
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's this guy that I know. He likes to show me videos. Something about Masters, Metallica, and sock puppet shows. There's this guy that I know. He's kin to Mr. Winnebago. Get this guy some ginkgo biloba, 'cause he's going to blow. Some say that's my humor served up with a side of greens. That's why this guy and I can laugh about most anything. Well, what does that mean? Well, the other day he said this funny thing. It might not be funny to you, but it was funny to me. Oh, word of encouragement as you leave here. I want you to look around and realize that everything you see here is going to end up in a landfill. Could be he's got a point. We throw away a lot of stuff. Long as it brings money, we never say enough is enough. La-di-di-duff. Every single pair of comfy grandma shoes that I own will end up right next to your swanky Jimmy Choo stilettos. What have I got to show? Freedom is farce, that's what some guy in a beard told me. Forget your art and sweat for nothing but a pile of green. I can see what he means, but I'm just gonna sit here and sing. La da 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 dee 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 dee. Oh, word of encouragement as you leave here. I want you to look around and realize that everything you see here is going to end up in a landfill.
This episode of Tulsa Little Jam is brought to you by... In case you're wondering about the hat, and our audience out there is like, why does he suddenly have a hat, and what's going on with it? This whole experience that we just had with you guys was, the only word I could think of was fascinating. I don't know about you guys, but it was just like an eclectic experience. So I deliberately did not listen to any other music of yours except for that music video. I did it on purpose because when I saw that video, I was like, there's something going on with this talent that I feel like I don't want to see more. I want to be surprised and see the rest of it in person. And I'm wearing the hat, so clearly I was in very much.
You drank the Kool-Aid?
Yeah, I did. I have drank the Kool-Aid. I am now the kazoo player with Rachel Bachman and the Better News Bears. All right, so there is only one other band that I've heard that I feel like has that same sort of eclectic thing, and one of their band members happens to be performing with you tonight, which is Delaney, which was Smoochie Wallace. Smoochie Wallace, which I adore as well, and you guys have just joined that league for me. So talk to me about how this happened.
Well, speaking of Smoochie Wallace, their drummer used to be our drummer, and the violinist is our violinist. She's just on tour right now. So we are kind of like 3/5 of Smoochie Wallace as well. I just steal band members from other people.
Well, no, I was having that conversation with somebody in the audience in between. We were talking about how the collaborational element of Tulsa music scene is like enormous. Like everybody is so supportive of one another. Mm-hmm. So you guys just trade people like garbage pail kid cards or something.
like elementary school lunch. You're like, I don't really want these chips, but maybe you do.
Much better.
Or maybe we can split the chips. You can have some, and I can have some.
So how did these chips get split and wind up in this bag of tricks?
First person here I played with was Matt. He sat in with a gig on me once. I saw him sit in with Smoochie Wallace, actually, and I was like, oh, I want him in my band that doesn't exist yet. But I was recording an album, so I had to put a band together for that. So then I enlisted a whole bunch of other people, and this is who we have now. Ta-da! Should we introduce everyone?
If you'd like to, yes,
yeah.
please.
This is Chris Foster.
Hi, Chris.
Over here, he plays the bass tonight, but also the keys. He's also played banjo in the band, so you can't have him. He's mine. And this is Nicholas Foster on the drums.
And Nick has been on the show as well.
With who?
Robert Hickman.
Oh. And then, of course, Delaney Zumwaltz over here on the vocals. She's the only one holding a microphone. You can tell she's the vocalist.
It's just a prop, like the hat.
And Matt Majorker on the cello. So these guys are, dude.
I feel like I look at you and I feel like you're going to lift that hat and a whole bunch of stuff is going to come tumbling out of it.
Rabbits everywhere.
So I'm curious because I think you're kind of the spearheader of all the curiosities. I'm talking about you like you're a sideshow of some
Yeah,
kind.
I'm just a weirdo.
But I liked how you described it as sort of like a vaudeville kind of thing too. So talk to me about your background and how that influenced your sound and how that came about. Because seriously, I thought I wasn't kidding, fascinating was the word that I was like, musically the skill is phenomenal, but there's that performance element in there too that I was just like, I feel like I could watch this like anywhere, cool, like at like a kids festival, and at the same time, I'd hear it in some weird Icelandic film about murder.
Oh, we didn't even sing our murder song.
See what I'm saying?
Oh, no murder song today, but we have one.
So tell me how this.
Strike it acapella.
Tell me how that comes about.
My murder song?
No, this.
The hats.
What's going on in the mind,
in your
out
brain.
into the song?
In my mind. I'm just kind of a strange person. And I watched a lot of Disney growing up. People tell me I sound like a Disney princess. I don't know.
Singing or
I don't know. Maybe I didn't sing any of my Disney princess
Not the
songs
princess.
tonight.
Maybe a Disney something, but not
I
princess.
don't know. Anyways,
Disney drunk princess.
I've always just been like one of those really loud people. So I don't even need
I don't think
this.
it's loud. I think it's just expressive.
No,
It's
it's pretty loud.
It's pretty I can't help you if the band doesn't defend you.
We're supporting you. That's
Oh, fair enough.
no. He's.
You're loud and you should own it.
I'm loud, and I listen to a lot of Tom Waits. That helps actually. That's a lot of it. Tom Waits and Regina Spektor and Joni Mitchell.
I worked with Regina. I did.
I love her.
Yeah, she's very cool.
She's so cool. Katzenjammer. I don't know if you've heard of them. If you haven't, check it out. Katzenjammer, spelled Katzenjammer.
See, it would have been funny if you said spelled Katzenjammer.
Wow. I said it twice like that already.
This episode of Tulsa Little Jam is brought to you by...
Here we go. Cryptic love letter of millennial style, splayed out on a screen with no recipient for miles. Take your poetry and throw it in my face. It's all about some girl, but not me. No way. I like to think that they are your words. They're so sweet. Listen closely, hear my heart. Skip a beat, I can see you conceived them for yours truly. Wait, you wrote them for the entire internet. Silly me. Sappy, deadly love song written years ago. She sounds a bit like me, you know, the one that you adore. Could be that it might be I mellow in the glow. Your lyrics conjure goosebumps. I melt a little more as I dance sway, soak it in, picturing her face. Anything that's not a mirror image, I replace and live here in this fantasy, a minute or four. But the dream is over at the final chord.
This episode of Tulsa Little Jam is brought to you by... So your band of merry men doesn't really say too much. Do you guys, how were you approached in terms of
I
like...
just met him actually the other day,
We have the same last name.
which is wild.
I believe it, totally believe it.
Legitimately, I heard her music and demanded to be in her band.
Yeah?
That's what
It
happened.
was during the recording. He's
He
like,
shook her down the street.
He's
Yeah, on with
shaker.
Shakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So random. Just you chasing her with like, ah,
Yeah.
I can do this. I got this.
put me in the band with the hat and nothing else.
Oh wow.
Well, that's not your style.
I'm not talking.
No.
I see where this goes.
No, but I was recording my album with Mike Gilliland at Augie Reed Studios. Actually, I was mixing it. I recorded it all myself, and then mixing it there. And I had just met Nicholas there, and I really barely knew anybody. I played solo for so long, and I hardly knew anyone in the scene. But I was making an album with Mike, and he was just like, "Hey, I want to play Shaker." So that's how he got thrown in. But he wasn't actually in the band until last week or something.
It's hardly.
To me, I know it might be nothing to you guys, but I actually was watching you because you had you're playing with one hand, you've got the drumstick in one hand, but then you were playing the tambourine. It's a tambourine, right?
Yeah. Well, yes.
Tambourine and then drumming with it or hitting the cymbal at the same time with it. I was like, so much going on, and you had shakers on the snare.
It kind of calls for a different approach, as you might imagine. I think everyone here probably has to adjust their approach a little bit because it's not the typical thing it's not something you would just show up and play without rehearsing or thinking about.
Yeah. So wait, does that mean that doesn't really leave you guys much room for improvisation?
Tons of room for improvisation as long as you come at it the right way, because you can't come at it in a place where she's going to do her own thing and you can't step on that, but you want to support it creatively.
So you have a framework, but what goes on the canvas is actually free play.
Almost less room for relying on old tricks.
That's true.
We don't trade eights or anything. Or
I don't know.
No.
I don't know what that means at all.
It's a jazz term where everyone takes a solo, so there are no guitar solos.
No
Cello
guitars.
solos.
Sounds like nefarious that, hey man, you want to go trade some mates? What are you doing later?
It is jazz, so maybe it had another
I
meaning.
just say, hey, you want to go trade some mates?
Mate.
This episode of Tulsa Little Jam is brought to you by
By the counts, swimsuits drying on the rack. Thank God for memory. I can feel the and while with yes, Kyriako style. You need to drink the water, for in the morning here they drink wine. It's fine. Close my eyes and I'm there. White walls, white stairs, stray cats, swimsuits drying on the rack. Thank God for memory. Still I'd rather see what's right here. Wherever here may be. For a fool that
This episode of Tulsa Little Jam is brought to you by audience questions, because this show's weird. This episode is so odd. Any audience questions? No.
I'm not touching it.
I take that to mean and I was so fascinated I have nothing to say. Oh, we do have an audience question. Yay!
So it sounds like you work with a lot of different people, and I'm wondering if people have a hard time adjusting to your sound, or do they pick it up pretty quickly?
Oh, well, I just pick people that I like the way they play already, that I think their sound would meld with mine. So I'm not gonna go looking for some like a blues guitarist, because it's not gonna work with what we're doing.
I actually have something on that. So as far as things in like the vaguely pop genre goes, like Rachel's songs are like a bit more complex. Like there's like a lot of modulations, key changes, like mode changes, and sometimes time changes in the last one, which is called Time Killer. Yeah, so basically kind of pertinent to what Nicholas said earlier, it's really hard music to like sit in on. It's music that you have to learn, and then this is music that we've all learned over a period of time. Chris and I, for the album release a year or so ago, but gradually, there's a high switching cost because the music's difficult to learn. But when you get it, you got it. You know. Yeah. Where did this come from?
I'm curious because when this sort of sound, while I adored it, I'm wondering if there's a marketability factor that's difficult. Or do you feel like there is like an audience out there, or do you even care?
Do you guys like it?
I ask, yeah. I just ask because some people are, some people might think it's not as mainstream, obviously.
I think that Tulsa does a really good job. If we're patting ourselves on the back here, I think that Tulsa does a really good job of like being receptive to things they haven't heard before. And so, like you, when you heard the music video and you thought you were intrigued, I think that that's like people are open to being intrigued. They don't necessarily expect. No one came here, I think, and expected to hear Brick House. And we don't do that.
Well, it's an encore.
So, but it.
Stick around.
Right. So I think, as far as this has gone, people are like, oh, I like new things, and as long as you don't train wreck,
Yeah, I was.
And also, if you guys know anybody that's throwing a cosplay wedding, I think this would really.
This is why you don't know my.
I feel like I should put that on the bottom of the screen. Blaze cosplay weddings.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, it's a good question in the back.
All right. First, a comment. It reminded me a lot of Blind Melon, and I don't know if there's any influence there, but I really felt a connection there to Shannon Hoon and lyrically and kind of the theme of it. And then my question is, favorite venue in town to play or venues? Are there places where you really enjoy maybe the environment, the ambiance, or the acoustics playing here in Tulsa?
I played a Blind Melon song once, so that might be it.
Once.
Well, no, I played it a lot. I used to play 3-hour cover shows all the time.
It'd be amazing if you said I used to play that song
For 3 hours. Felt like it. But we play we like Colony. I like Colony. Colony has like a nice, small, like intimate kind of feel to it. There's a new venue that I love called 473, and we played there a couple weeks ago. Duet is another good one.
This episode of Tulsa Little Jam is brought to you by
Baby, you're in my mind. In the words of the girl with a hat and the perfect string of rhymes. It's a problem, can't see the tree for the billboard sign. On this highway we've been driving on for all this time. And my mother said it right. The killer. Time is the killer. Time is the killer. Baby, I've got the use and the means and a wishing well of nothing but weeds. It's another scuffle toward the end of eventually. 'Cause I'm barely old enough for you and you for me. Your mother said it right. You've got a for me. I wrote this song for me. I'll sing it for me. I wrote this song for me. It's not for you. 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 It's not. Why would it be? Baby, all I can say is I tried to give you just the right amount of attention to get you to respond in kind. It's a one that you never said before that you had enough. While you were making plans, all I want to be is making love. I'll ask another time. You say, oh, I'm fine, I'm just fine. But time is the killer. Time is the killer. Time is the killer.
This episode of Tulsa Little Jam is brought to you by. Well, I want to thank you guys because that was, for me, it was like a really fascinating evening of music, and it just adds to the whole point of the whole show, showcasing the wide variety of musical talent that exists in the Tulsa music scene, and this is further proof. Like, there's like you can't. It seems like we're like almost 30 episodes in and still discovering gems like you guys. It's just like astounding to me. So thank you so much for being on the show. So, let's hear it again, guys, for Rachel, Bachman, and the Better News Bears.
Could be he's got a point. We throw away a lot of stuff. Long as it brings money, we never say enough is enough. Every single pair of comfy grandma shoes that I own will end up right next to your swanky Jimmy Choo stilettos. What have I got to show? Freedom is farce. That's what some guy in a mirror told me. Forget your art and sweat for nothing but a pile of green. I can see what he means, but I'm just gonna sit here